Hey everyone, today I want to talk about action and the healing power of it, the therapeutic aspect of action. I don't quite understand this yet myself. I'm still kind of learning through this process and learning to understand this. It's a mystery to me still, but it seems that there is a therapeutic, a medicinal aspect to action. That action itself is medicine. That action itself is therapy. That action itself is like the it is itself the change. There's an aspect to it that it I don't know another way to say it. It's basically that it's like medicine. That's basically the best way to say it. So with action, it's like having a river or a canal or some kind of waterway that's flowing, and then you don't want that to just flow that way. You want it to flow somewhere else, right? Where do you want it to flow? Well, you want it to flow towards your crops, so you divert that water, right? So imagine the water's going across like this across, but you want it right here. So you need to divert. You need to build a channel to divert the water from this like stream or river, and you need to get it there, right? To do that, you need action. And the metaphor I'm giving here isn't a perfect one, but it'll have to do for now. You're gonna basically have to get shovels, and you're gonna have to dig into the sand, dig into the sand, dig into the sand to divert that water. And at first, there's going to be no water to those crops. And the entire time, actually, there will be no water to those crops until you're done. Even if you're a foot away, if the water's, you diverted it, but it's still a foot away, you still have a little more digging to do. The water's not reaching the crops yet. You need to continue that digging until you get to that end point. Nothing happens. And then there's an absorbing aspect to it. It's like an absorbing boundary, but in the positive sense, not in the negative sense, the way typically I've read about absorbing boundaries and absorbing barriers. If you want to learn more about absorbing barriers, look into Nassim Nicholas Taleb, interesting author. Absorbing barriers, interesting and important concept to know. Um, so by diverting the water, you're putting in you're putting in action, you're putting in energy, and then you get the benefit, right? It's a therapeutic beneficial benefit. The water is now fertilizing your whatever you want it to fertilize. But but the important thing to understand is that there's a mystical sense that I'm talking about. Not I'm talking about both in the real sense and in the mystical sense, but it's very complex, and it may be simple as well. Actually, I don't know, but right now it seems complex to me because I don't quite understand yet. This is something where I don't feel like I know everything yet. I feel there's a lot to learn, but it does seem that there's a both a mystical, a spiritual, a, a physical and a spiritual. That's important kind of effect that happens when you take action. Um, like say you've never hiked before and you start hiking. The first day you do it, the physical immediately that's going to be a big benefit in your brain. Neurons are going to start working. Now the first time you do it, it's going to be very hard, but there is still a little bit of therapeutic benefit. But imagine you go on 30 hikes. You say, I'm just going to go on 30 hikes within the next 6 months. Well, that's going to be an incredibly impactful thing for you, an incredibly impactful thing from a neurological perspective. You're basically, I mean, you don't need to know any biology or neuroscience to understand this. If you're a human and you've been observant at how you learned a skill or adapted to new things, moved to a new city, started a new workout plan, started some kind of sport, started learning a language, started a new job. There's so much we've done where you could see, you could kind of get a hint of what I'm talking about here. Imagine you go on 30 hikes. Your mind's going to change after those 30 hikes. Your brain is going to start changing. You're going to start having the brain of a hiker. Not quite, right? 30 isn't quite enough to get you to the brain of a hiker, but your mind is going to start changing. It will, period. Where before your feet, when they touched the ground, you didn't have good balance on the rocks, and you didn't have the right approach and the right mindset towards hiking, and you That I mean, I'm just saying how it'll change. So those things also, maybe you used to have hyperbolic discounting in terms of the perceived benefit you'd get from the hike. So an hour of hiking, and you thought you'd feel a certain thing, you feel good in a certain way. Maybe after hiking 30 times, you stop discounting at a hyperbolic rate. Maybe you're much more connected now to you an hour in the future. When you're starting the hike, you see, okay, in an hour I'm going to feel great, and you don't discount it in a hyperbolic way. Another important term, hyperbolic discounting. Learn that important term, Google it. Hyperbolic discounting. So maybe you stop doing that sort of discounting, and the discount factor that you apply to the future happiness is more appropriate. A lot of changes in your brain can happen that are going to be turning you into a hiker. I think those changes are also correlated to mystical and spiritual changes as well. I can't explain why, I can't explain how, but there's something that happens when you take action that is magical, and I don't know what else to say it. So, how can you apply this to your life? The way you can apply it is very clear and direct. It takes courage, it takes bravery to apply it, but it's very clear, very clear. You need to, and I have to do this as well. We all need to, once we believe in therapy, see, if you don't believe it, then it's not going to work. But once you really buy into the idea that action is itself medicine, action is itself therapy, once you buy into the concept of the therapeutic nature of action, right? Once you buy into that, and I'm not the first one to create this term, I heard it somewhere, who knows, I'm not going to create this term. um, so the therapeutic nature of action, once you buy into that, and with a little bit of bravery in there, just like a little paprika or a little spice into your dish, toss in a little bravery with that understanding of the therapeutic nature of action, and you may be able to take action even though you don't understand every step that's gonna take place after, even though you're scared, even though you're anxious, even though you don't at all see how this action is gonna impact you. It's gonna like be part of a narrative or a line that's gonna create the life you want. You know, it'll allow you to take action without seeing all those things, and in a much more uncertain environment where you could just pick up on a Saturday and say, I want to go hiking, I'm gonna go hike. For a lot of people that aren't hikers that want to do that, a lot of things in their brain and their body are gonna start coming up that are gonna inhibit that. They're gonna try to prevent that. So you've never hiked, you want to go on a hike. One Saturday you wake up, you're going to have a lot of obstacles, a lot of resistance, physical resistance in your body and mental resistance through thoughts and images and concepts that are going to prevent you from doing it. But if you can, it's hard to battle those. If you think that the only way, if you think this is key, if you think that the only way to go on a hike is to stand there strong and battle that resistance, saying fuck that resistance, every piece of resistance that comes, I'm going to destroy it. Well, you're gonna get destroyed yourself probably by that path. It's exhausting. It's not sustainable. It's very tough. It's not awake. It's not in touch with reality. What instead you need to do is to allow all of that resistance to just flow over you completely, to completely rush over you, and to not fight it. Not fight it. Just accept it as it is, but still realize from a conceptual perspective, this is going to be another concept. But realize that, hey, there's this pill. There's a pill, right? I could take it or I could not take it. This pill is called going on a hike, right? If you don't believe in the therapeutic nature of action, it won't seem like a pill. It'll seem like a chore or something difficult. The benefits of hiking won't seem as great as they really are. They'll seem lower than they truly are, right? Because the benefits of hiking are the health benefits you're going to get, the emotional benefits you're going to get. Those two you're kind of getting in your mind, but you're not getting the third one, which is the fact that the moment you go on a hike, the moment you complete the hike, all those things, they're medicine, they're therapy for you, and immediately they're going to start changing your brain. They're going to take you one step closer to having the brain of a hiker or whatever you want to become. So when you add that third benefit in, it becomes more compelling, doesn't it? Now, when we think of going on the hike, we say we're gonna get exercise. We're gonna feel good after, and we're gonna have taken a step towards becoming a hiker. And we're gonna have taken a step towards improving our mind. And we're gonna have taken a step towards changing our brain, literally. The physical way our brain is structured, we're gonna start changing it. when you have that, it's much more compelling, and it's much easier to say, hey, regardless of everything I feel, let me take this pill. Let me take this pill anyways. Although it's not a pill now, it's a hike, but it's the same as a pill in the sense that it's therapeutic, in the sense that it starts changing your brain. Now, it's very, very complex, the underlying kind of I don't know too. Look, a lot of things I talk about on this channel, I've thought through quite a bit. On this one, I'm still learning as I go along. I'm sure they're 100% sure that action is therapeutic, but I don't quite know the mechanisms of it, and I don't. And I think there are mystical aspects to it as well. I really believe there are mystical aspects to taking action. There's something about action and being a action oriented creature, but that's for another time.